All right, so I've had a few people who said they are a little confused with some of the DeltaMath problems. So I made a sample account, a student account, and I'm here to kind of walk you guys through some of these problems. So the first one, the one that's kind of due today, I did give a late assignment due date, so by Friday, but that way if you're still stuck, I can kind of walk you through these. So the first assignment that's due would be the 6-3 day one. I'm going to go through this simplifying with x. And so we can see here we've got this problem 87x to the third over 25. And if we look at this one actually, I think 87 divided by, well, that would be just kind of working this out on a calculator, 3 times 29. And we would still have x to the third. And well, 25 is just 5 times 5. So we can know that 3 is a prime number, 29 is a prime number, nothing's divisible by 29. 25 is just 5 times 5, so actually with this problem, this does not simplify. This is kind of a trick question. So if we want to type this one in, I'm going to click the little keyboard icon here, and I'm going to type in my 87, and I'm going to use x, and I'm going to raise it to the third power. So I can use either the a squared or the a to the b. And if I do a to the b, then I'm just going to type in 3, and then I can scroll over. And you can do this with the keys on your keyboard as well. Now I want to make it a fraction, so I'm going to hit divided by, and that's going to turn this into a fraction. And then I'll just type in the number 25. And I'm going to submit my answer. Yes, I'm sure that's right. And sure enough, there we go. So the fraction does not reduce. So I'm going to hit next problem. Oops, got to use the pointer. I'm going to hit next problem, and I'm going to delete this work that I had over here. And we're going to try another one. So here I've got 30x over 80x to the third. So 30 would be 3 times 10, and 80 would be 8 times 10, and I would still have the x on the top, and I still have the x to the third, which if we want to write this out, if we want to expand this, x to the third is x times x times x. So now what we're looking to do here is simply achieve oneness. We want to just reduce our fraction. So anything that's a like term top and bottom, we can reduce. So we can take the 10s out and we can take out the x's. And so that leaves us then with just 3 on top, and we have 8 and we have 2 x's, so that would be x squared on the bottom. And so now we can go to our answer and type that in, 3, and I'm just going to hit the slash mark by the question mark on my keyboard so that it makes a division, 8x, and now I need a square. So I'm going to hit my little keyboard button again, and I'm going to use the squared button. And I'm going to submit that. Yes, I'm sure. And sure enough, there we go. And so then if you just keep doing this, eventually you're going to notice, I'm going to delete these here, and I'm going to submit these couple of answers here really quick so you can see what happens when you've actually met your goal. So your goal is to get 3 out of 5, or right now we've done 3 out of 5, and then our goal is to get to 5 out of 5. So once you achieve that, it'll get you, say that you've achieved your goal, hit the back button, and actually I'll just do that now. I'll hit the back button, and now you can go on to the next, so you can move forward if you want. So here we have one that's simplifying rationals, trinomials only. And with a trinomial, we can't just reduce the x squared and the x squared. That doesn't work because you can't reduce through addition, you have to reduce through multiplication. So what we need to do is we need to factor, so diamond and box, these two problems, top and bottom. So the first one I'm going to do in green here. It's got to multiply to make negative 6x squared, and it's got to add to make just the x, or we'll say a 1x. So what could multiply to make 6? Negative 6 would be a 3 and a 2, and we would need a minus 2 in order to make this 3 minus 2 makes 1. So then we can say, all right, well, we've got x squared and a negative 6 first and last terms, and we found 3x and negative 2x are going to be the middle terms that we just discovered. So then we'll factor x, and I'll have a plus 3 and a minus 2. So that makes this numerator now x plus 3 and x minus 2. And then, so having a scratch sheet of paper is going to be really handy while you're working through these. So now we'll do the denominator same way. So I'm going to factor this really quick. It's a fancy looking x. So it's got to multiply to make negative 21x squared and add to make negative 4x. And hopefully these aren't too terrible of numbers as we're working through these. but 21 would be 7 times 3. That's how we multiply to make 21, or 21 and 1. And then we need to add to make a negative 4, which means the 7 needs to be negative. So again, then the first term was x squared. The last term was a minus 21. And then we came up with our middle terms being a negative 7x and a positive 3x, because that's what gives us that negative 4. And so then I'm going to factor x squared is just x times x, and I have minus 7 and plus 3. So I have x minus 7 and x plus 3. And so then when I look to achieve oneness, I want to get rid of or eliminate like terms. So now through multiplication, I have x plus 3 on top and an x plus 3 on the bottom. Those are like terms, so I can cancel or eliminate, reduce those. And so then I'm left with a fraction. I'm going to just use, well, I can use my keyboard here, and I can make this a fraction right away without typing anything. And that way I can type x minus 2 on the top and x minus 7 on the bottom. And then we'll submit our answer, and boom. Okay. So if you are stuck, it shows you kind of what we're doing here. It doesn't show the actual diamond in a box, but it is showing how we're factoring into our groups. And you're looking to cancel or reduce or eliminate any like terms from top to bottom. Notice in the answer, you're not actually eliminating the x over the x, because those are together, they're formed through subtraction, not through multiplication. It doesn't say x times negative 2, it says x minus 2. So you can only reduce if it is through multiplication. Okay, so hopefully that clears that up a little bit. If you're stuck or you want to get back to the main screen, here are all of the other goals that you're working through, and you can kind of click through. So here we have one where it's perfect squares. So I got a lot of stuff to delete over here. Erase, but this is just some other way to allow you to do some more rationalizing, factoring. This has more of the perfect squares, the difference of two squares. So just to do one more here really quick, x squared minus 16, that's perfect squares. That's saying x times x, and 16 is 4 times 4, and in order to make that a negative 16, you need a positive 4 and a negative 4, and so that's how we were able to factor this one so quickly. If I want to do the denominator, I've got to diamond and box. Hopefully I'm leaving myself enough room. I need 32x squared, and adds to make negative 12x. And so that would give me, I would need an 8 and a 4 multiplies to make 32, and I need them both to be negative in order to add to make negative 12 and still multiply to make a positive term. So now I can factor. This would give me my x squared and my 32, and then I have my negative 8x and my negative 4x. And so when I factor those completely, I have x, and I have my minus 8 and my minus 4, and there's my denominator, x minus 8, minus 8, and x minus 4. And so then again, I can find common factors. Those x minus 4s will go away, and so I know my answer must be, hit my little slash mark to make a fraction, x plus 4 on the top, and x minus 8 on the bottom. And now I can submit, and yes, I'm sure, and boom, there we go. Alrighty, so hopefully that clears that up a little bit. Feel free to email me, text me if you are still stuck.